Hello and welcome to What is Your Body Expressing to You? We are now live. We've had a great test. We are working just fine. So welcome everyone to our class. I'll put some flowers for you behind you here so you could enjoy some of that. We're at the River Valley Healing Center. Nora Dykema is hosting me up in Russellville, Arkansas, so we're very happy to be here. And I'm also quite thrilled to announce that Jessica Crystal Joy Walker is going to be running the live stream chat tonight. So if you have any questions, I'm going to be checking in with the chat as well. But if you have any questions at any time, even if it looks like I'm in the middle of my madness, you can ask them, and Jessica will be keeping a closer eye on the chat than I am. She's quite trained in this stuff, and she will be able to answer a lot of your questions. So let's talk about what this stuff is and how I'm studying it and what I'm getting into a little bit, because I want you guys to understand where this is coming from. A lot of this is from Louise Hay's work, which is You Can Heal Your Life. A lot of people call this the Healer's Bible. There's lots of different versions of this book, but You Can Heal Your Life. It's a phenomenal read for those that haven't checked it out. And some of the other stuff we're going to be getting into is some sacred body language translations. We may be talking about some conscious language, not sure, but both of those are Robert Tennyson Stevens. That's a book that looks like this. And both of these books you can find on my website, which is Joseph Zenner, ZENNER.com/oils. So you can find these books on there if you have interest in playing after we get into this stuff. So I want to be clear, I'm not teaching a sacred body language translation class. I'm not teaching a You Can Heal Your Life class, mostly because I don't want to be sued by either one of these authors. What I'm teaching is my own version, my own flavor. I'm going to be talking about some of the things they talk about. I'm going to be referencing some of the books. I've already showed you the books, so you know that I'm using some of their resources and references, but I'm not teaching any of their material per se, other than just what I've learned from taking lots and lots of classes. And so I've taken at least 7 or 8 classes in sacred body language translations, another 5 or 6 in conscious language, and then Bob Stevens has some other modalities, biooptic holography and body electronics, which I've done some studying into as well. So we're going to get started with we asked for feedback from the crowd on what they would like to learn about. We've got autoimmunes. If anyone wants to add anything, if anyone's on the live, if you're watching the recording this, you won't be able to participate in this realm. But if anyone wants to add anything they want to make sure we cover, you can go ahead and do that now. Jessica can help address it, and you can also let me know if you'd like for me to talk about it. We'll get into it in that way as well. And I'll probably see your question and we'll at least talk about it, especially if it's on topic. And if it's not, when we move off the topic we're on, we'll get to that. Fair enough? Okay, great. So we're going to start by talking about the overview of the body. And the body is always trying to communicate with us. And when I say trying to, it is always communicating with us. It's not always getting its message across, because we're not always tuned in, and that's not wrong. And I'm going to repeat this a few times as we go through tonight, but it's not wrong that we're not listening to the body. It's just not right either, you know. And as we tune in and as we start to pay attention, we're going to start to get more and more signals as to what's actually going on with our body. And when we start communicating back and forth, we're going to realize that these things that we've been calling pains and diseases and ailments and physical symptoms and all the way across the board, everything that's going wrong health-wise in our body that we're not a fan of, that's giving us displeasure, discomfort, is our body trying to communicate with us with a divine message. And when we receive that divine message, it's really powerful. It's from God. I don't know how else to say it. If you don't believe in God, it's from your Creator. It's from you, if you want to think of it that way, because, you know, this is something coming from our core. And when we realize that it's coming from our core to deliver a message to us, not pick on us, not give us grief, but to actually deliver a message that's going to change our life in a very positive way, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so what I want everyone to remember as we go through tonight is none of these none of these are wrong, and none of this is making us wrong. And when we look at these translations, sometimes there's going to be some probable causes, and the key here is not to look at a probable cause and beat ourselves up for it. It's to see that there's an upgrade that's possible. So we're going to be upgrading ourselves, and one of my favorite universal laws is that um, our greatest weaknesses are becoming our greatest strengths. So a lot of light workers have actually been getting lots of autoimmunes. You mentioned autoimmunes earlier. A lot of light workers have been getting things like autoimmunes. They've been getting lots of neurological things. Just physical symptoms in general have been coming up because this is part of the body's transformation, and actually our DNA is shifting. And so as the DNA shifts, it'll give us these little triggers and these little symbols, and it's trying to communicate with us and say, hey, here's your upgrade. And unless we're paying attention, we're just going to get on some drugs and go see a doctor and put some stuff in our body that's maybe not the right thing for us. And when we are paying attention, it's very fast. It's the transformation is quick, and just from some simple affirmations, we've seen it many, many times. Simple words and affirmations, we can transform health issues very fast. And words are very powerful. I think most on this live stream realize that words create our reality. So sometimes it's a challenge to check our words and check our language, because that is what's creating our issue. I remember I went to a Nassim Haramein workshop about 4 years ago. That was about when I started to wake up, as they call it. And he had this, it was I was going to say a weird yoga teacher. She wasn't weird because she taught yoga. She taught yoga and a bunch of other different things, but I remember we were doing a lot of slapping on ourselves and a lot of tapping on our heads and things like this. And I just thought she was kind of out there. I mean, I was still in total left brain engineer science mind, and I just remember thinking she was so out there. But I did the whole session with her, and my body felt like vibrating and alive, and it felt so amazing. And so I went to her after class, and I said, I was wondering if you do one-on-one sessions. I'd love for you to work on my back. I have a bad back. And she just looked at me with this tender look, and she says, oh, sweetheart, you don't have a bad back. That's part of the issue. We're going to work on that first. You don't have a bad back. You're creating your bad back by speaking that into existence. And I was like, okay, what did I just get myself into? And now I'm teaching this exact thing that she was telling me there. So it's really interesting when we own something, like, I have to go to the doctor for my diabetes, or my cholesterol is high. We're actually speaking it into existence, and that's creating a spell. When you talk about words, we spell our words. Well, we're creating a spell that we're putting out there with our words. And so most often, when we're not conscious with our language around our disease or our ailment, and we speak about it, we're just perpetuating it, literally. And if you look back on how long you've had it, it's probably very proportional to how long you've been talking about it. I mean, it may have come just a little bit before you started talking about it and telling people about how bad it was, even if it's talking to yourself about it. But there is something related to how you're speaking about it and how you're talking about it in your own head and what's going on in your body. And it's because everything's related. So if you want to change your health and you want to change your body, change your story. Start telling a new story. Start talking about how you used to have some concerns with your blood chemistry, and now you have your perfect health, and you are your perfect health. And even if you're not feeling that yet, speak it, and it will become into your existence. So let me see what we had here. Thanks for catching my back here, Jessica. So we're getting into exhaustion and tiredness, even with 8-9 hours of sleep. I'm gonna address that one. I saw you had one too, Kimberly. So I'm gonna address both of them together. We love anything about serious skin issues, eczema, psoriasis, and scarring. So I'm going to let Jessica answer so that you can get some answers from Jessica, and I'm going to answer some of these as well so we can put it all together, and you'll see how what she's saying and what I'm saying are going to make sense, and they're going to all come together. Okay, so one thing I'm going to mention, and what Jessica's talking about is the Bob Stevens system, and that's why I have her on. But in my experience, and this is more from the Joe Zenner system, exhaustion and sometimes depression, fatigue, and just generally being tired can be resolved or upgraded with a larger dream that we're taking more consistent action on. And it's not just having the dream, but stepping into the power of what that dream means to us and stepping into the enthusiasm of what our life would be when we have that dream. And when we have a big enough dream and a landing that we're walking into that's exciting enough, we're going to be so excited just to take forward steps towards that dream that tired doesn't even show up for us. And I'm not claiming to live in that space forever, but I think all of us have gotten into that space for days at a time, sometimes weeks at a time. When you get on a new project and you're really fired up about it and you find that you can't even sleep, but it doesn't matter, and you just keep rolling and rolling and rolling, and then eventually your body may tire down and you may need to come down and have a little rest. But ultimately, your body is going to operate at this very high level of performance when you have a dream that you're very clear on, that is exciting to you. Because some people think, well, I have a dream, I want to have a white picket fence with a dog and a husband, or and I want to have a really good job, and I want to have a great retirement plan, but then they're still tired. Well, I have the dream. Well, that dream isn't really that exciting to you. And if it is, then maybe this isn't your issue. But if that dream is not exciting enough to you, then you're going to have some issues with moving forward on it and being enthusiastic about it, because it just doesn't tickle your fancy enough. So what I would offer is to find a more elaborate dream and a more exciting dream and take consistent action towards it and know that that's where you're going. And then you're going to see the exhaustion and the tiredness starting to go away, and you're going to have less sadness, less lower vibrational moods. And so we talked earlier about our greatest weaknesses are becoming our greatest strengths. So this is a great one, because if you're experiencing exhaustion in this current vibration and in this current planet that we're on, that means that your strength returning is going to be massive energy, massive excitement, enthusiasm, and energy, because you're going to step into your power. Like Nora and I were talking about yesterday, for me, you step into your power and you're going to feel that enthusiasm, and tired and exhaustion aren't going to even be in your vocabulary anymore. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, we're taking this where the class is taking us. And by the way, Nora, if you have some things to add or you want to just let me know, and we'll kick that in as well. So Kimberly is talking a little bit about skin, and I see that Jessica is working with Joy. So Kimberly is talking about eczema on the wrist, ankles, blah blah blah. So we're gonna look at skin from a health issue first off. We're gonna look at it from a science-based issue, and then we're gonna go into the translation of it. So the skin they call the secondary plume or the secondary chimney. So when our internal organs are not processing our toxins fast enough or efficiently enough, our body will find a way to remove the toxins. Especially as toxic as we are these days, our bodies are not as toxic as we are. Let me change my language there. As toxic as the environment is, our body is taking in a lot of toxins, and it's going to find a way to remove them or we would die. And our body is an amazing, amazing machine. So when the organs aren't doing their job properly, the secondary chimney is the skin. It's going to push toxins out of the skin, so you're going to see things like eczema, you're going to see things like psoriasis, general rashes. You're even going to see more allergies show up as skin irritations and things like that. And so what I recommend for most skin issues, the essential oils on the skin, sure, they work great. Anything you can show us, as they say, on the skin, we can deal with very easily. Put my arm up there so you can see it. If you can put it on the skin, very easy to deal with essential oils. And if we can look at organ cleansing and getting our kidney functioning better, getting our liver functioning better, we're going to see our skin issues clearing up. And that's why one of the most beautiful things about toxic cleansing is it's going to give us this glow, this skin glow. And I know, speaking about Jessica, every time I see her, her skin is glowing more. And I don't even know if she's doing, I mean, I do know she's eating better, and I don't know what she's using for toxic cleansing, but I know her dietary habits are better. But every time I see her, her skin is more glowing. So she's upgrading her language, she's upgrading her diet, and her skin is glowing from the inside out. So you can treat it from the outside in, but also from the inside out. The interesting thing about skin, though, from a body language translation perspective, is it's about being seen. And I want y'all, as we go through these different things, I want you to continue to try to make the connection between the science and the translations, because this is about being seen, and it's about being comfortable in our own skin. Okay, so I want to read word for word what Luis has to say about this, because it's pretty intriguing. So for skin, she says the probable cause is protects our individuality. It's a sense organ. So the new thought pattern for you, Kimberly, on skin issues is I feel safe to be me. And another way to say that is I feel safe to be in my own skin. Y'all getting this? Is this connecting? So I feel safe to be in my own skin, and I don't mind people seeing me. So let's look at teenagers. When teenagers have a lot of skin issues, it's like, oh, I don't want to be seen. I don't want people to see this acne, and I don't want people to see my face this way. And what does that do? It makes the acne that much worse, because that's a resistance. It's a resistance to being seen, and then the acne gets really bad. So a little bit of acne turns into a lot of acne, because they don't want anyone to see their acne, and they have a resistance to being seen, and then boom, the body shows up as resisting that thought process. So that makes sense to you, Kimberly? Good. I'm glad. Yes.
The hemp salve, the Canaway hemp salve, is an excellent product for eczema and itchiness that she's talking about, because I have that too. I've
nice.
Had it lifelong, so just
eczema.
I would recommend that.
Yeah, so Nora's saying the salve, the skin salve, or the beauty salve from Canaway is a really good one. The hemp salve for eczema. Lots of different things that can help you with eczema on the essential oil side as well. Lavender, melaleuca, frankincense, and coconut oil are all ones that come to mind really quickly. But there's lots of things that can be done. So let's talk a little bit about affirmations, because we just reached our first affirmation in this class. I feel safe to be me. I feel safe to be in my own skin. And so Kimberly, if you can repeat out loud, I feel safe to be me. And then let me know, how does that feel? Does it feel true for you? And that's a great question to ask when you say an affirmation to yourself is that true? Is that true for me? And either way, if the book or whatever you're looking up or whatever you're called to, you think that's your affirmation, go for it. But when you ask the question, is that true for me? And the answer immediately is no, that's how you know it's your affirmation. Here's the trick to that game, though. If I say to myself, if I say to me, I feel safe to be me, and my internal dialogue says, no, I don't feel safe at all. I feel so unsafe, it's ridiculous. That secondary statement, no, I don't, all that stuff, was also an affirmation. It's more powerful than the first one because I believe it. And so, although I don't believe in going backwards, I'm certainly not moving forwards when I'm saying an affirmation like that, because the true affirmation, or the truth that I heard from my own brain, or my truth, not that it's the truth, my truth at that moment was telling me otherwise, and it was taking me in an opposite direction of where I want to go. So it's not taking you backwards, because I don't believe in backwards. It's just not taking you to your outcome of what you wanted by saying that affirmation. So for those that follow our classes, you've heard this before, but we're going to give the three ways that I recommend doing affirmations. Number one, have a small child record them and then listen to it. Whether it's a neighbor child, your child, niece, nephew, record them and listen to the small child doing the affirmations. And that should help, because you're not going to call BS on a kid reading these affirmations in your ear when you're listening to the recording, because they're a little angel's voice and it just sounds right when the kid's saying it. So, and good, Kimberly's admitting she doesn't believe the affirmations. That's great. That's how you know this is your affirmation. So you could do the small child recordings. Number two way is to look in the mirror, stare at the black of one eye. Only stare at the black of one eye. Don't go back and forth. And by the way, when you're looking someone eye to eye, this is a great way to reach full contact. I notice a lot of people will try to look at both eyes, and it feels like they're bouncing around to you. You know, they're trying to reach your eye contact, but they're looking at both eyes. Pick one eye. And a quick tidbit, a tangent, when you're doing that, when you're talking to someone about emotional things, you can look into their left eye because that's right brain. When you're talking to someone about science and math, you can look into their right brain, their right eye, because that's left brain. And so that's just a little trick on how you can tune into, what they're talking about and know which eye to focus on. Because it doesn't matter. You can always just pick one eye you're comfortable with. But y'all have all experienced someone that's trying to look you in the eye, but it's like they're doing like this with their eyes, and it's kind of dizzying. And so what a lot of people do is they want to look you in both eyes, but they don't know which. So they'll look away and then look back, and then it's like kind of like this. And it's like, so if you want to really hold solid eye contact with someone, grab one eye. And you'll know when you get to the right people that have done this before, and you each grab that eye and you are talking to each other for like 30 seconds, you don't break eye contact, you will feel a soul connection. This is definitely a way to soul connect. So when we're doing this in the mirror, we're actually soul connecting with ourselves. We're talking to our own soul, and we're feeding affirmations to our own soul. So what we're going to do is read the affirmation over and over again until we feel it. Once we feel it, we're going to read it another 3 to 5 times and just really let it sink in. You may start crying. It's a great sign. If you start crying, that's a beautiful thing. I recommend, by the way, when you cry, don't wipe the tears away. Do you ever notice that that a lot of people, a lot of advanced speakers or very heartfelt people, when they cry, they'll just let the tear go. They don't try to wipe it away and pretend like they're not crying. Where does the tear go when we don't wipe it away? Right? It goes right into our mouth. Tears, they say, are the most healing thing on the planet. Our own tears are the most emotionally healing thing on the planet. So I have some weird woo-woo friends, of course, that make tinctures out of their own tears. They add it to alcohol and they drink the tinctures of their own tears. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to do anything. Don't believe anything I say here. But I think there's some validity in it. If I had to guess, I'd say, yeah, there's probably some truth to that. So the third way is actually my favorite. I don't have space to demonstrate it right here, but it doesn't matter. I could stand up. What we're going to do is stand up and walk in a figure 8. And you keep walking in a figure 8 as tight as you can walk it. And you just read your affirmations. You know what? I am going to show y'all a few. We're going to just move the camera a little bit. So when we walk in a figure 8 and read our affirmations, it shuts down our brain's ability, our left and our right brain's ability to negate the thought and to call BS on it. So it kind of looks like this. I feel safe to be me. I lovingly protect myself with thoughts of joy and peace. The past is forgiven and forgotten. I am free in this moment. Life supports all of my thoughts. Therefore, I love and approve of myself and all as well. And I was just reading some other affirmations from this book. But y'all can see the process, and you can see how when you're walking in a figure 8 like this, it literally prevents your brain from having that internal dialogue. So this is actually also a really good way to meditate. If you're just looking to meditate, you can walk in a figure 8. If you're looking to do some deep thinking on a subject and you don't want that chitter chatter that's in your brain, you want to just really deep think, I highly recommend the figure 8. It's infinity sign, of course, lots of reasons to do the figure 8, powerful stuff. If you really want to do something powerful, if you want to take on one of the most powerful exercises I could recommend, and I'm going to do this soon, I promise, read every single affirmation in a You Can Heal Your Life book and walk into figure 8. You're going to literally heal the world's problems through yourself. Super cool. So, Joy, I see you saying you love that technique. Have you tried that before? Have you tried the figure 8 before? If so, that's super cool. Okay, so now we're going to go to, and y'all can continue to ask questions, and Jessica's going to keep an eye on that for me. But now we're going to go to the basics of how the body talks to us and the basic breakdown. And this is going more into Bob Stevens' work and the sacred body language translation stuff. We're just going to do a basic breakdown of the body. So when we're having issues with our head and our brain, this is autoimmunes, this is neurological, this is all those things that start with an A, like autism and Asperger's and ADD and ADHD and Alzheimer's and all these things that are in the brain, it obviously has to do with thinking. So is there something that we can do is there some upgrade around our current thinking? Do we need to, is there an opportunity for meditating more? Is there an opportunity to upgrade our thoughts and the things that we're thinking about, which is going to upgrade our experience? And so when we get into the body is about handling or doing. Everything's going to be literal here, right? So handling or doing. So handling or doing is the body. And then we have the neck connects the head and the body, right? Is your live stream okay?
No.
Oh, did we lose feed? We look like we're okay from here. Is everyone? Can everyone hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, because I'm having some issues here, and I don't know why. I have everything else closed. We should be good. We have to close the internet down and come back. Let's see. I'm going to do this. Okay. I don't know. That might be good. Joy says she can hear me.
Okay, good.
Okay. Can you hear me now? I mean, you can see me on there?
It's not. It's stuck.
Huh. Okay.
Just go ahead.
Okay. So most people can hear me. Okay. So the neck connects the head to the body, obviously. So when we're talking about neck issues, there's a disconnect between what we're thinking and what we're doing or what we're handling. And so this doesn't, by the way, this doesn't mean that there's literally a disconnection here. It means there's a perception of disconnection. And what I mean when I say that is, it doesn't mean that we're not doing what we're thinking or thinking what we're doing. It means we think we're not doing what this means that we think we're not doing what we think we should be doing, or we're not thinking what we know we should be doing. So it has to do with perception of what you believe to be true. And so you can change that belief and believe that whatever you're doing is exactly what you're meant to be doing, and then you don't have the issue. And so it doesn't mean you have to align your thoughts and your beliefs as much. You can change your beliefs around how you feel about what you're doing, and it will resolve that neck pain as well. Or, even better, you can align your thoughts and your doing. You can get in alignment with what you're thinking and what you're doing, and then your neck issues are going to go away. Is that making sense? So, oh, Pilar's on. Welcome, Pilar. And so now while we're up in the neck area, we're going to go to shoulders. So shoulders is burden, right? I don't want to shoulder the burden. Everything is going to be so literal when we're talking about this stuff. Well, I don't want to shoulder that burden. So that's where we come up with shoulder pain. It all has to do with burden. Then we talk about back. Back goes into feeling supported. Again, makes total sense, right? Our back supports us. And so our back is about feeling supported. Lower back specifically is about financial support. And then we have, I'm just going to go to them really quickly to cover the middle and upper back. And I'm going to Louise Hay's book just for those that are following along. Excuse me. Middle back is about guilt, and upper back is about emotional support or feeling unloved, holding back love. So the upper back is getting close to the burden area of the shoulders, so we're feeling a lack of emotional support there, and we're feeling a burden because of it. Is everyone seeing the connections here? I love it when people join and there's like a reunion, like, what's up, y'all? All my favorite people are on. Okay, this is fun. So now we're gonna move down the body and into the legs. So legs are about moving forward, right? So anything on the legs has to do with moving forward. Now the hips connect the legs to the torso, which is about handling or doing. So the hips has to do with a disconnection between what we're handling or doing and moving forward on that. And so again, this is a perception. If we believe that we're handling what we need to move forward on fine, we're not going to have hip issues. It's when we believe that there's a disconnection is when the hip issues come in. So you can get an alignment by either moving forward on what you should be handling or think you should be handling or doing, or you can just stop giving yourself so much grief over what you think you should be. Well, no, I'm going to thinking here. So what you're handling or moving forward on, if you can get those in alignment in your head, that you are in alignment, then your hips are going to come into alignment. And this is really powerful stuff, and I've seen this work time and time again. So just on the general things, joints like elbows and knees are about flexibility. Again, it's always literal. And yeah, I think that's all we're going to cover for that. We don't want to get into any deeper there. So we're going to go ahead and split down the middle now. So as we split down the middle of the body, we're talking about the right side of the body, which is, controlled by the left brain. So of course, we're on the male side. We're on the career side. Male side, generally, a lot of times it's father figure, but not always. And then left side of the body has to do with, and this is my left, by the way, my left side of my body. I know it's reversed for you guys. Left side of my body has to do with female figure, often mother, or creativity. So it's our creativity returning. So if we have an issue with the left side of the body, it would be our creativity returning. So how do we translate that? Well, it's just super simple. It's exactly as easy as it sounds. So if I have left shoulder issues, okay, I have a burden with either my I don't believe I'm creative enough. And so remember, this isn't that if it's not the female figure and it's creativity, it's not that I'm not creative enough. It's that I believe that I'm not creative enough and I'm putting a burden on myself about not being creative so that it's going to show up on my left side here. Or it could be a female figure or mother figure that I'm feeling burdened by. And so like for me personally, being an entrepreneur and giving up engineering, I had a lot of financial issues in the past. See how I put in the past on the end of that sentence to make sure it doesn't come back? I'm keeping my past out of my future, right? In the past, I had some financial issues, and I was studying all this stuff, and I would feel the lower back pain, and I would meditate on the financial support that I do have, and on how my businesses are growing and how my checks keep getting bigger, which was true. And so I would just focus on the financial support that I did have, and I would literally feel my back pain shift immediately. I could feel it just loosening and just getting better as I would think about it. I could transform it. And that's when I started to realize, holy crap, there is something to this stuff. there is some scientific proof I'm putting to this with my own body. Yeah, and so Pilar's saying your body is a metaphor for your emotional belief system. Exactly. So this is all about beliefs. It's not that we're doing anything wrong. The only thing wrong is the belief in wrong, and even that ain't wrong. So the only problem is there's no problem, like my friend Seton Collard says. So it's not about, oh, I'm getting it wrong. My thoughts are not, my neck issues means that my thoughts are not connected to what I'm handling or doing. No, you just believe that you're not doing what you're thinking, or you should be doing more. You're shoulding on yourself. And so we don't want to should on ourselves. So this is going into conscious language again. So we don't want to get into shoulding. We don't want to put needs and wants on ourselves because, a want means to desire without having. I know Jessica knows this stuff well, but so if I want lots of money, the universe is going to give me exactly that. The universe is very specific and very literal. It's a postage delivery system. So if I want lots of money, the universe is going to say, okay, here you go. Desire it without having it. Enjoy. Let me know when that changes. So if you continue to want that money, car, beloved, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, if you continue to want it, the universe is going to continue to deliver that want to you. Because want is to desire without having. Trust me, the collective consciousness gets diction very well, and the collective consciousness understands the true meanings of words better than us. And sometimes we don't even realize how powerful a word can be because the true meaning of it has been hidden from us. A good example of this is a word that religions use a lot. That's humble. Does anyone know? Does anyone want to share what they think humble means, or a definition without looking it up? What you think humble means? Nora, do you have a? Because you hear me before they do.
Let's see. I would say knowing that you have gifts that others may not have, but you're quiet about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't share or boast about it.
Right. Yeah, and so Nora's saying that knowing you have gifts, but being quiet about it, kind of being modest about your gifts and whatnot. Yeah, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna pull up the actual definition here instead of just making up my own, because I kind of know. I mean, I pretty much know what it means, but I want to look it up to give you all the actual definition of humble, because this is just an example of how we think we know what a word means, and we use it like, oh, I want to be humble, right? We were taught in religion to be humble, and it's good to be humble. The word humble means having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Lower someone in dignity or importance. So this is lowering our own self-importance. So it's not a fun word to use if you're looking to empower yourself. It's really one of those words that is used to disempower us. And so I sign my emails, your non-humble servant, Joseph Zenner. When I send out to my team, that's how I sign the email. So, so that's the power of language. And so we talked about not owning our ailment and not owning what's going on when it's bad. And we don't want to say, we don't want to use an affirmation like, I don't have diabetes anymore, because our subconscious mind doesn't get the negative. It doesn't hear the negative. I don't want to be sick. The subconscious mind just heard, I want to be sick. So what we want to do is always choose the positive, always choose the affirming. We want to choose a way of structuring our sentences that says what we do want, not what we don't want. Because when we're claiming what we don't want, we have two things going on. Number one, our subconscious doesn't understand the negative. And number two, we're resisting something which is going to draw it to our existence. So in multiple ways, when we're expressing what we don't want, we're actually asking for it. In fact, when we're running worst case scenarios, since our thoughts create our reality, we're literally creating that worst case scenario for us most often. And then we go, oh, wow, well, thank God I prepared for that by worrying about it for so long and coming up with a whole contingency plan, when in reality, you created it. I was going to say you pretty much created it, but you did create it. We do create all of our own reality. So if something, look back on your history and think about the things that have happened to you that are really awful, and were you afraid of that happening to you? And were you thinking about, oh no, what if that happens to me? And you tell me if it makes sense. And I'm not claiming that everyone that got raped did it because they were afraid of rape, because that's not how it works. It's a vibrational thing. Sometimes we vibrate at a victim level, and we vibrate at a certain level, and we draw that type of experience to us. Does that make it our fault? Of course it doesn't make it our fault. That we all vibrated at different levels, and there's no right or wrong level to vibrate at. It just means that we're vibrationally putting ourselves in a position to have negative things happen to us when we are in victim mentality. And that's not wrong or right. It's not wrong to be in victim mentality. It just means that you're going to attract things that are going to continue your ability to stay in victim mentality, because the universe only knows the now. So if you are experiencing or vibrating in a level of victim, the universe is going to say, oh, this person likes being a victim. Let's give them more things to complain about. And like T. Harv Eker says, when you complain, you become a crap magnet. So you're literally attracting this stuff to you by complaining about it. So if you want to change your life, change your story. Stop talking about how you don't want, your custody battle so bad. Like I was so stuck in my story of my custody battle so bad, and oh, you haven't heard a story this bad. Let me tell you how awful I have it. Oh my God, it's so bad. And I was just bringing more and more of it to me. I was telling the universe, hey, this kid's getting off on all this worry or all this pity and sympathy energy. Let's give him some more of that. Let's have all this awful things happen in his custody battle so he can stay in this victim mode, because the universe only knows your now thoughts. And so when you're thinking about worrying into the future or grief over the past, then you're actually living in those times. You're escaping the now to live in those times, and you're going to attract the funky stuff you're thinking about into your next now, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about our handouts now. We're going to go into the basics of, we're going to start with the non-colorful one. And so that looks like this. And so for those that are watching this on video, if you don't have these handouts, you should have gotten them emailed for you when you paid for this class. But they're also in the event, which the event will still be up on, what is today? July 30th, 2014. So if you were invited to the event, you can find it attached to the event there as well. So we're going to start, let me see where we're going to start here. I think we're going to start at the bottom. Yeah. So we're going to start at the bottom with fear. And we're going to talk a little bit about fear having no willpower, low capacity for hard work, and no endurance. So those are the negative emotions that are associated with the kidney and the urine, or the urinary bladder, it says. So the urinary system and the kidney have to do with fear. And this matches what a lot of the other charts have said. A lot of this stuff matches from different authors and different modalities. So the tissues affected here is bones. The orifice affected is ears. Now that's an interesting one because when you have no willpower, your ears are going to be affected, and like Jessica knows, the translation for that when you have ear issues is what are you not wanting to hear? You know, same with eye issues. What are you not wanting to see? So when we have ear issues, what are we not wanting to hear? And we're not having willpower, well, that means we're blocking divine guidance. Does that make sense? We're not having the willpower because we're not hearing, we're not wanting to hear something. And so there's a block to our divine guidance, which shows up in our kidney and gives us urinary issues and things like that. So next one up is anger or lack of courage, unable to make a decision. And this shows up in the liver or gallbladder. From Bob Stevens' work, anger is also about the thyroid. And it says the reactive focus of anger is they, she, or he did it to me. Anger heals into forgiveness and loving actions and is the balance between action and inaction. And I know Pilar has some good sound bites, so I'm going to give you one of hers. Thoughts are currencies and ideas are stock. Don't invest in stock that is not worthwhile. Excellent. I love me a good Pilar quote. So so yeah, anger also is we mentioned liver and gallbladder. The tissues affected are the tendons, and the orifice affected is the eyes. And so what are we refusing to see? Well, we're refusing to see that I did this to myself. There is no one else that can affect us because we literally create all of our own reality. And if you're not able to accept that right now, I'm not asking you to. What I would ask, if you're willing to be open to that, is to explore the query. You know, open up a new dialogue with yourself on, is this a possibility? And look at this as if you had no idea and that you didn't have any previous knowledge, and that maybe, just maybe, the possibility of other people being able to affect our mood and shift our emotions is untrue. My friend William Lynch, who some of the, I know Jessica knows him, some of the Houston folks will know, William Lynch taught me, I irritate me when you do that. It's a great phrase. I irritate me when you do that. Because nothing is about, nothing can shift our emotions except for us. And so for those that have seen some other videos, I talk about a large check that we have. You have this large check, and on it you write power over my emotions. And when someone starts to get to you a little bit, you close your eyes and you picture your check, power over my emotions, and you decide, do I want to give this person my check or not? If you love them and you've done something really awful and you've hurt them really bad and they're trying to make you feel bad for it, maybe you do want to give them your power of your emotions. Maybe you do want to allow yourself to get sad because you hurt someone on purpose or whatnot. But most often I'm going to offer that you don't want to give someone else the power over your emotions. You want to keep the control of your emotions. And it doesn't mean we want to always control our emotions to not be sad or to not have grief when someone dies. That's not what this is about. It's about keeping control over our emotions and owning our own experience and being comfortable with the fact that we did create all of our experience. And so if there's something unfavorable in our experience, instead of going to the mirror that is what we see as our outside universe and trying to change the mirror as they talk about, let's take a look at ourselves and change ourselves so that we don't end up trying to break a mirror, trying to change the mirror. Okay, so we're going to keep moving up this sheet. So now we get into worry, obsession, lethargy, and depression. And so the organs affected by this are the spleen, are the stomach, and where's the? I thought I had it here, but the tissues affected are muscles, and the orifice affected is the mouth. And so obsession, depression, lethargy. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we have a bigger dream and when we can see our ideal future. When we actually realize that not only are we walking into a new heaven on earth that we're creating for ourselves, but that we're already here now, then we're going to start speaking in those terms, and everything is going to shift so fast you can hardly believe it. And the trick here, the challenge here, is to not believe that the heaven on earth is coming, because again, the universe is very literal. So if we're manifesting my heaven on earth is coming, the universe is going to say what? Okay, great. Tell me when you're ready for it. I'll just hold it back over here. I'll just keep it over here for you. And you know, coming isn't now, so I'm not going to give it to you because you're not ready for it. You still think it's coming. So as we are looking to manifest our heaven on earth, it's essential that we don't see it as something that's coming soon, like coming soon attractions. My heaven on earth coming soon. Once I get this, and this down, my heaven on earth's right over there, and I can't wait. It's right over there. Well, when you can't wait, or when you think it's coming soon, the universe is going to deliver that coming soon to you, and it will take a long, long time, possibly never, to happen for you because you never move that heaven on earth into the now. And so how do you move the heaven on earth into the now? Well, you do it with gratitude, and you do it with living in the present and living in the now, and just being in your experience and really seeing what's going on around you. And you're going to see that time slows down a little bit. You enjoy things more. Happiness is going to be a side effect that we're going to have here instead of side effects like anal bleeding from all the pharmaceuticals. This is going to be side effects like happiness and joy. And so why are we talking about all this woo-woo stuff when this is a health class and we're supposed to be talking about the body and our body going wrong? Well, Louise Hay would agree with me on this one. All healing has to do with self-love. And we talked about reading that whole chart of her book earlier. These are just different flavors of self-love. It's all it is. Each one of these, you look up diabetes versus Crohn's disease versus belching versus bites, they're all just going to give you a different version of self-love. That's all. And so self-love is the key to healing all of this stuff, you know, and being present is the other really critical thing if you want to get into pure health. It's just being present in the moment. And when you believe that you're going to be sick for a while, then that belief is probably going to come true for you. When I say probably, I mean it's going to come true for you. Yeah, people are saying heaven is now. It's right now. I mean, we have this amazing technology that is called live stream that someone we don't even know invented for us, that we can combine a bunch of old soul family people together into a little chat room and hang out together, and you guys can ask questions, and Pilar can throw sound bites, and Jessica can answer questions, and Nora can offer comments, and everybody can connect. This wasn't available 5 years ago. This is a beautiful thing, so I'm very grateful for live stream. Y'all getting this like right now. I'm grateful for all of you being on and listening to me talk about this stuff, because I don't do this to teach you anything. I don't do this because I want to change you, because I can't change you. And I really can't teach you anything. I may be able to remind you of something, but I can't really teach you anything. The reason I do these classes and I enjoy doing this is because this is fun for me. This is what brings me joy. So I do this. And the fact that other people join in and watch, they do it because it brings them joy. You know, and it brings them joy, literally, joy oh such, right? But everything we do is bringing us a certain experience. And so it's like, what do you choose? What do you choose to do? Do you choose to do things that you enjoy? Or do you choose to do things that you don't enjoy? So we're going to continue up the chart. So we now get to grief and sadness. The organs affected are lungs and large intestines. And so lungs has to do with taking in all of the beauty and the gifts that life has to offer. If you're having lung issues, whether it be asthma or bronchitis or anything lung related in terms of translations, it's not taking in all the gifts that are the blessings that the universe is offering, not living life to its fullest. Um, and so obviously it makes sense that it's connected to grief and sadness, because if you're experiencing grief and sadness, then you're not living life in the now and experiencing all that is to be experienced. And again, it doesn't mean it's bad to be sad. It just means you might have some lung issues until you listen to your body and choose a different emotion other than sadness. And what I recommend if you're stuck in depression or sadness is to allow it. Allow the sadness in. Even schedule it. Schedule 3 minutes of sadness. Put a timer on your phone. This is Helen Ray's stuff, by the way, R-A-C-Z, if you want to look her up online. She's one of my heroes. She lives in Houston. 3 minutes of sadness, 3 minutes of overwhelm, grief, whatever you want to get rid of or not experience as much of in your life, schedule it 3 minutes. Do not let your mind bounce off of it. If you catch your mind bouncing off for more than 10 seconds and you can't bring it back, start the clock over. Do it again. If the time rings at the end of the 3 minutes and you weren't still experiencing that emotion, start the clock over. Do it again. If you do this every day for a few days, you'll know when you're done. You're going to be so done with that emotion that you're not going to want, it's not going to come into your field again for a while. And when you start doing this exercise, your brain is going to get onto you. Your subconscious mind and your ego and all the BS and the bullshit programming, as we call it, the belief systems that are in place that you're programmed with, are going to start calling BS on you, and they're going to be like, no, this is dumb. Let's stop this. This is ridiculous. And we don't have 3 minutes for this. I have other stuff I could be doing. Like, it's going to try to take you out of it consistently. And if you can stay in it for that 3 minutes, I personally promise you that you will see a shift in how much you experience that emotion outside of that 3 minutes. And then each time you're having more of that emotion than you would like, then you set the clock again and go right back in for some more. Is that making sense to everybody? Do you have a comment? Okay. So tissues affected there, arteries and veins. Orifice affected is tongue. Yeah, tongue makes sense, right? Because we're breathing through our mouth, and that's how we're experiencing our breath, is through our mouth. So tongue makes sense that it's the orifice. Negative emotions on the next one are doubt, greed, and uncontrolled laughter. I like that uncontrolled laughter is a negative emotion. I'm not sure I would necessarily agree with that. I think they mean like a nervous laughter, right? They're talking about like a nervous, inappropriate laughter, maybe. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's truly uncontrolled, I guess anything would be bad if you can't control it.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what that is.
Like kind of like when you're getting tickled and you don't like it.
No,
you're laughing, but it's not.
Like something happens and it's even maybe not even that funny, but you go into a fit of laughter and you can't stop. You just can't stop, and it doesn't matter how uncomfortable the situation is that you're in, but you can't stop. And people are just looking at you. That's how I read it, and I've been there.
Cool. So the organs affected there is the heart or the pericardium. Tissue affected is skin, and the orifice affected is nose. So I want to talk a little bit now. We're going to go through the basic bioptic holography fiber level translations. This is direct Robert Tennyson Stevens stuff. And I just want to cover it because I think it's going to make sense. Because we're moving upwards through these emotions as we're got something in my throat. As we're transforming and moving upwards towards the emotions, we're going to be moving through the emotions in this order. Awesome. Thank you, Jessica, for joining us. Thank you for helping out, and thank you most specifically for listening to your body and paying attention and tuning in that there's something you need to pay attention to. So that's awesome. Okay, so we go to, we're going to start with the emotions, and we're going to go upwards. And we go from unconsciousness to apathy to grief to fear, anger, pain, and then enthusiasm, and that's up the chart. So you can see it takes a lot to get to enthusiasm, and that's why a lot of spiritual teachers will talk about sometimes anger is the proper response. You can't just go from, realizing you were molested as a child for years that you had blocked out to complete and total forgiveness and then bliss. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Like, you do need to, or not, let me change the need, but it is important to experience that anger and process it and allow it, and maybe even schedule your 3 minutes with it or more. With that kind of situation I described, there would be more than that, but you want to have that experience. What's interesting is when you're really getting deep in working with someone on emotional stuff, and they're blinking. Have you seen that as an energy worker? Have you seen the blinking, like the fast blinks? So you can translate those blinks. You can count the blinks, and if there's 4 blinks, you go unconscious, apathy, grief, fear. They're in fear. If there's 6 blinks, they're in pain. If there's 7 blinks, they're in enthusiasm. So you can count the blinks and find out where they're at. That's one of the neatest body language tricks I've ever heard in the world. It's super, super neat, and it's super, super accurate. So unconsciousness has to do with the gonads. Anytime we deeply avoid our responsibility in something, unconsciousness is the result. When unconsciousness is present, reawakening is available. Moving up, apathy is the spleen. And these are related to the chakras, by the way. So unconsciousness was the root. We're moving up the chakras into the sacrum. Apathy is the feeling of I can't or it's hard. When moving up scale, apathy is simply the return of our old I can'ts asking to be I can. This is our strength returning. So apathy is an upgrade. And Tim asked what time frame for the blinks. They're going to go really fast, Tim. They're going to go like that. They're going to go do-do-do-do-do. It's like Morse code. It's like do-do-do-do-do. And you can see when you're really tuned into someone, you can just count the blinks and go from there. It's really powerful stuff. Next up is the solar plexus, or grief. Grief, we talked about earlier, is about the lungs. It's also, in Bob Stevens' work, connected to the pancreas. Grief is the feeling of, oh, woe is me. It's sadness about not having power. When grief is experienced with love, the memory of joy returns. So you can see how as we're going up, we're talking about how all of these symptoms are negative emotions, or let's just call them emotions for now, are simply our joy returning or our strength returning. So grief is joy returning. Fear is the next one. Fear is the kidneys we talked about earlier. It's also the thymus. This is the heart chakra. When life is avoided into a certain level, fear becomes present with the purpose of reawakening us to move towards enthusiasm. Fear is faith returning. So that makes sense, right? When we have faith, when we have true faith, there is no such thing as fear. In a space of true faith, there is no fear. One of my favorite affirmations right now is I trust God. I woke up with that. I don't remember my dreams that often, but I wake up with like one-liners. And I woke up with the realization that I trust God. Those 3 words weren't true for me. So I've been saying them over and over again and affirming them. And it's becoming my new truth. And I'm getting my hand off the joystick. My spirit animal last year was the jellyfish. It's about no control, just living in the flow and letting go of the belief that I need to control things and trusting in the process and in divinity. And when you're truly in that space, which again, I'm not claiming to be there all the time, but I do live in that space a lot, there is no fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. When you truly get that you create your own reality and you're living in the present and you're living in a trust of God, there's nothing to fear. You don't even fear death. I mean, even when death knocks on your door, there's no fear of death if you have a true trust for God. And when I say true trust for God, this is high levels of faith here, we're talking about. So now we move up to the throat chakra, which has to do with anger and the liver, as we talked about earlier. This is also the thyroid is associated to anger. The reactive focus of anger is they, she, or he did it to me. We talked about this earlier. Anger heals into forgiveness and loving actions. So when we have anger, our strength returning is forgiveness and loving actions. This is the balance between action and inaction. Does that make sense to everyone? So the next one we have is the third eye, which has to do with pain, our pituitary. Pain is the capstone of memory, and when loved, fully opens intuition. Pain, when understood, is the beginning of the return of love. And so when we have pain in the body, this is our intuition returning. This is why so many light workers have fibromyalgia, right? Fibromyalgia is a pain all over the body. And a lot of people will say, oh, fibromyalgia is not real and it's just depression. Most people with fibromyalgia have depression, so they've made a connection there. Well, if your entire body hurts all the time, you're going to be depressed. It's a chicken or the egg type of thing. It's pretty tough to be in a happy space when you're always in full pain. But as you can see, as we're moving up the scale here, pain is very high up on the scale. Well, that doesn't seem right until you realize that, wait a second, pain means I'm feeling again. For certain people like myself, I could, we talked about body electronics earlier. Just 2 years ago, I would get on the table and they would have 5 people like really digging into my pressure points, and I would just not be feeling it at all. Just didn't feel it. And I just didn't have a lot of pain, hardly ever. I wasn't feeling much pain. And I can tell you now, I do experience more pain, but it's more short-lived, and I feel it. I allow it, and I feel it more. And by the way, for those out there that are fans of marijuana, I'll admit that I've played with that plant plenty in the past. And what I've realized when I've studied it, like, why was I missing it? What was that plant delivering to me that I could get without that plant? And it was putting me in my body. It was dropping me into my body so that I could feel again. And so when you can find other ways to drop yourself into that body using meditation and just body scanning, just go up and down your body and feel where the pains are. Feel what's going on in your body and then translate them. Use some of these resource books and use some of these, some of the websites that I sent you on the email that you got that can translate things going into your body, and pay attention to what's going on in your body and feel the pain, and the pain will transmute. And that's going to open up your intuition. And that's going to be the beginning of the return of love. So there's one more thing I wanted to say about that. Let me tune in real quick. So yeah, so I went 30 days. I did a 30-day cleanse 2 years ago now. 2 years ago to this month. It just ended 2 years ago to this month. To this day. It was actually, the end of tomorrow it ended. And I cleansed my marijuana. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to smoke again because I did my challenge and I've been looking forward to it. I'm big on anticipation. I didn't want to not allow myself the thing I'd been looking forward to, because then that teaches my brain that it's fake. Like when I'm doing my 30-day cleanses and I offer myself this in the end, that I wanted to actually give myself that. But I said, okay, let me tune into what exactly this is giving me as an experience. And smoked a little bit of this joint, and immediately I had back and knee pain. And I was like, well, wait a second. I was smoking weed to have pain? And I realized, like, yeah, it was dropping me into my body. I had been so caught in my head for so long. And at that time in my life, I was way more operating from my head than my heart. I still have an area of opportunity for getting into my heart more, but I'm definitely more into my heart every day than I was the day before. I'm moving more and more into my heart, and I'm in my heart right now because all we have is now. But for those of us that get caught up in our head, we don't feel in the body. We don't feel things that are going on in our body, and so thus we don't feel our emotions, and so we're not very intuitive because we're not in a feeling space. We're caught up in our head, and so that's why we look at people that are saying things that are intuitive, and we're like, there's no way that's right. That can't be true. It's because we're so stuck in our head, we can't even imagine being intuitive because we're caught up in our head and we're not in a feeling space. Is that making sense for everyone? So let's go to another pilarism. Pain is an indicator, an arrow pointing you towards what needs to be healed on an emotional level. It's a good sign. Excellent. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about in the beginning of class, that none of this is wrong. This is all our body's way of communicating to us. And so as we translate it and get the message. And a lot of it is about awareness. You know, some of it's just about awareness of the probable cause of that injury, and then some of it is about reaffirming some things that we've forgotten. And that's what these affirmations can help remind us. And Tim says, yep, that was big time for me recently to feel pain in my legs when they had neuropathy before.
Okay.
Yep, excellent. Good comments there. And so moving up the scale, we're now moving away from we're going from the third eye to the crown chakra. And now we get into enthusiasm. So you see, we had to go through all of that scale. We had to go in consciousness, apathy, grief, fear, anger, pain. And now we get to enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the pineal gland, right? Which a lot of people will say the pineal gland is the third eye. Well, when we talk about the crown chakra opening up, trust me, that's also connected to the pineal gland, because the pineal gland is actually our connection to other realms. I mean, it's our connection to our intuition. It's our, which, you know, we were talking about in the third eye, the intuition was returning. Well, the pineal gland connects us to everything. That we dream in our pineal gland, we connect to other dimensions in our pineal gland, we astral travel in our pineal gland. This is all my truth, but, you know, find your own. That's what I'm offering as my truth. So this is about knowing all possibilities are available and every resource is at hand to use, able to experience all emotions with love. It's very powerful. So when we're at the top of the scale, when we're in enthusiasm, we're able to experience all emotions with love. And so does that mean, well, I want to get enthusiastic so that I can be able to experience all emotions with love? Well, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, if I'm able to experience all emotions with love, then I will be enthusiastic. It's, again, it's all the same. It's all in the now. So there's no, if I do this, then I'll get this. It's the same thing. So you can be enthusiastic about being able to experience all emotions with love in the now, and then you will instantly become this at the top of this emotional scale. And it doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. It doesn't mean you're right. It's just more fun to be enthusiastic than it is to be unconscious. So if I'm making a choice in the now, I'm choosing enthusiasm over pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, and unconsciousness. It's just a choice. And so how do I choose that? I choose it by choosing that. I am my own enthusiasm. I choose enthusiasm. The words I am in conscious language means God creates. So when I say, gosh, I'm so sick, God creates my sickness. There, I just created it. So, you know, if I'm feeling sick, I'm going to say, I am my perfect health. I feel healthy. I feel joyous. And a lot of times when we're going through something that's giving us some issues, it's great to identify what we're feeling. And often, especially with men, we get in a space of, if someone says, like, if someone were to ask you, how do you feel? And we say, well, I feel like I could be happier. You know, and I feel like is a disconnection. It's a disassociation from our feelings. It's not an actual feeling. Like is not a feeling. So what I recommend for you guys listening that are willing is find an accountability partner that's willing to do this with you. And a couple times throughout the day, either text or call each other and say, how do you feel? And the answer should be, I feel an emotion. I feel happy. I feel joyous. I feel sad right now. I feel frustrated. You know, I feel joyous. I feel apathy. I feel grief. But own your feeling. Because, you know, even when you start to practice this with another partner, you're going to get into a position where when someone asks you, how do you feel? You're like, I don't know. I feel all right. All right's not a feeling. You know, and you're going to find yourself going through all these different things, and it's all just different ways of avoiding our feelings. And when we get in tune to our feelings by saying, I feel blank throughout the day, it's a very, very powerful place to feel from and to live from. Teal Swan, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, has a practice that's throughout the day, as often as you can think about it, say, what would someone who loves themselves do? You know, and when you just keep focusing on, when you have an issue that's really troubling you, what would someone who loves themselves do? You know, and allow those, and then get quiet in the mind. And how do you quiet the mind? For those that are having trouble meditating or quieting the mind, stop trying to quiet the mind and stop thinking you shouldn't be thinking. allow the thoughts and just listen, just focus on listening to the thoughts instead of stopping the thoughts. So when we focus on stopping the thoughts, what do? We end up beating ourselves up and we go in this loop of, why can't I stop thinking? Everyone else seems to be meditating, right? Why does my brain keep working and everyone else in the room seems to be meditating just fine? No, they're not. They're still having thoughts too. They're still having that whole, thing looping around in their brain too. And so just, you can allow yourself to be quiet and feel what you're thinking, like listen to the thoughts. And Tim says, wow, I feel like I could use that. I don't know if you're joking or not, Tim, but I like that. That's good. I feel like you're paying attention.
He's joking. But it's funny.
He is joking. Yep. So we're going to start summarizing here and start wrapping it up. So first thing is we want to focus on our pains are gifts. When we look at the pains in our bodies as gifts, we can see what our possible upgrades are, and we can start focusing on the upgrades and seeing that our strengths, our greatest weaknesses are becoming our greatest strengths, and it's a beautiful thing. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of spiritually advanced people and light workers that are going through some very serious health concerns and cancer and autoimmunes and all these different things. And they're thinking, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. And again, I'm going to repeat, the only thing wrong is the belief in wrong, and even that ain't wrong. So when we start to get that this is a gift that's coming to us for us to look at something, and we translate it and we use the affirmations and we eat better and we make better choices because we choose life. When one of these autoimmunes comes in, it makes you think about your life, because these things can kill you. I mean, they say that 80% of deaths right now are because of one of 100 autoimmunes. Well, where are all these autoimmunes coming from? Out of nowhere. And it's all brain related. It's all has to do with up here, right? So when we can get clear on our new choice, which is life and enthusiasm, then we can transmute that ailment, disease, illness, whatnot. We are literally transforming our DNA and shifting our DNA and changing our DNA in the moment. In other words, this gift that came into our lives came for a direct purpose to help us to shift and to move into a higher level of consciousness. Now you might be thinking, well, wait a second, cancer kills people sometimes. Well, yes, it does. Because that is also a gift, because the people that are dying from cancer were ready to exit. As a soul, they were ready to exit, and they needed a vehicle to exit with. And if I'm offending someone, I apologize. This is just the way I look at it. It's not that I think cancer is a great thing and that it's great that people are dying from cancer. It's that cancer is just one of the many ways that we as souls choose to exit this planet. It's not wrong or right. It just is, right? Yeah, and Vanessa says, second that on brain and autoimmunes. Right on. Yeah, we're seeing them all over the place. Nora?
Is there anything more you can say about the autoimmunes? Because we do have someone on here with autoimmunes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I remember looking it up. Well, let's do this.
I don't know if they heard me.
Yeah. Yeah, she wanted us to touch on autoimmunes a little more. You know what? Let's do it this way. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Because I'm seeing it a lot in my practice.
Sure.
And it would help me as a healer to just go as deep as we possibly can with that.
Yep. So let's take it to the science first, and then we'll twirl it in and come back to the emotional. Yeah. So autoimmune disorder is the manifestation of emotional intolerance. Why is her? Yeah, the comments are coming and then going.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Interesting. So if you want to look at autoimmunes are around thoughts, but so is everything. So that doesn't tell us a whole lot. Well, it's based on our thoughts. Well, everything is based on our thoughts. So how do we shift it? Well, again, the first step to shifting this is to not see it as wrong and not make our thoughts wrong, because that's perpetuating the issue. It's to listen to our thoughts around it, especially around the disease, especially around whatever comes up. Like, oh, if I'm told I have lupus, what are my thoughts around that lupus? What are my thoughts around this MS? And just listen from an outsider's position. Just listen to what your brain is saying about it. Don't make it wrong. Just pay attention, and then see if you can shift that and see if you can change that in terms of how you feel about it. Because, like they say, the best way to get rid of cancer, and insert anything into that word there, is to let go of your resistance to it. Because one of the most powerful universal laws ever is what we resist persists. I mean, I think everyone's heard that one, but gosh, studying this stuff and dealing with clients one-on-one, I can promise you this is a real universal law. If we're resisting this and it's persisting, there's something going on that we can look at. And so a couple different techniques I'm going to offer. Number one is to close your eyes and think about your ailment, your disease, whatever it may be, autoimmune or otherwise. Just think about it and ask it to show you a symbol. And I know this is getting really weird. Just trust me on this one. Just suspend your disbelief for a moment. Ask it to show you a symbol. And once you see the symbol, then remember that symbol, and you can keep that symbol there and utilize it whenever you want to, but go to that symbol and ask the symbol what it's there to teach you. Like, what is the lesson? What are you here to show me? What am I to learn from you? And then be silent. Listen for the answer. Good. And so that's just a good practice to, find out what the possibilities are in terms of what it's here to teach us. If you have a specific autoimmune that anyone and if anyone wants to take this offline or reach out to me personally, you're on this class, you've got my attention, and you've got my promise to translate this for you. But if you can be more specific about what you want to translate now, that's great. And if later offline, that's fine as well. So now we're going to take it from as woo-woo as we could get to as scientific as we could get. Autoimmunes in the body have to do with an excess of heavy metals and candida. Both of these are huge, huge issues in our population, especially in America. Candida, why? Because we eat 100 times more bread than we should be eating, basically. Sugars, carbs, breads, we're just consuming way too much of them. You could argue that you don't need them at all, but if you really love your breads or your sugars, just really limit them. But yeast is just going wild in our bodies, especially in our brains. It's just causing massive, massive issues. So, and then in terms of the heavy metals, to stay on the science for just a moment, heavy metal cleansing is super powerful. We've done lots of videos on toxic cleansing of the brains. Cilantro and thyme are two oils that are really good. Cilantro removes heavy metals from the cells. Thyme removes it from the body. So you want to use those two together. So conscious language, or I'm sorry, sacred body language translation, a cough means a change in direction. So we're going from woo-woo to science and science to woo-woo, so I'm coughing. A sneeze, by the way, is an affirmation. That means I choose. I agree. I choose. Okay, so when we look at yeast, which is what candida is, the probable cause is denying your own needs or not supporting yourself. So the new thought pattern is, I now choose to support myself in loving, joyous ways. So you could see how if you choose to support yourself in loving, joyous ways, your thoughts are going to reflect that. And so if you can step into that affirmation, your thoughts are going to reflect that, and it's going to shift the yeast in your body as well. And got mountain? Just did that for type 2 diabetes and got mountain? I don't know what mountain is.
Symbol. You said to look for a symbol.
Oh, I thought he was talking about a different dis-ease. I thought he was yeah, the symbol itself doesn't really mean anything. The symbol gives us something to ask. The symbol gives us something that we can close our eyes, picture a symbol real quick, and then ask it. But Tim, do I have your, well, I don't actually, and since we're in this class and I know you're going to say yes, I don't need your permission to talk about diabetes. So we're just going to go to diabetes because I've already mentioned it a few times. We haven't translated it.
I want to say something.
Yeah, please.
I don't want to interpret his symbol too much, but
Yep.
earth energy to help him.
Yeah. So,
from the mountain.
yeah, earth energy. And actually, when I met Tim, I know Tim won't mind me sharing this. I'm just going to share it. But he walked up to me and he said, I'm looking for something to help me ground. So earth energy sounds like it makes sense. Cedarwood.
On the bottom, essential oil in the middle of the foot, and then on the middle of the palms will help him ground.
Yep. And if y'all can't hear Nora, she's saying cedarwood in the middle of the feet and the middle of the palms will help you to ground. But this is going to be no big surprise here. When you hear diabetes, it just makes sense. But probable cause is longing for what might have been, a great need to control, deep sorrow, no sweetness left. So the new thought pattern is this moment is filled with joy. I now choose to experience the sweetness of today. And again, this is about the now. I choose to experience the sweetness of today. But similar issue here. Diabetes, autoimmunes, neurologicals. We want to really get the carbs and sugars out of our diet. We want to remove the heavy metals. Where are these heavy metals coming from? Lots of mercury in our fish that we're eating. And if you're buying cheap fish oil because you think you're doing yourself a favor with omegas, upgrade your fish oils. Go with organic, farm-raised fish oils. If you're a vegan, go with vegan, plant-based fish. I'm a bigger supporter of plant-based omegas than I am fish-based omegas. Flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, super valuable sources of omega without having to go with the fish. There's a lot of people taking in, these fish oil pills, and you're just getting mercury from the salmon that they got their whatever fish they got the fish oil from. So it's not good for you. I'm trying to think if we want to talk about beliefs now. The other way, we'll come back to beliefs. The other way to a lot of people are getting these heavy metals in the body that are really playing a heavy part in these neurologicals and autoimmunes is the deodorants. Aluminum in deodorants is huge. Aluminum cans is huge. If you can get away from the aluminum cans, get away from the plastic bottles. I mean, I recommend drinking everything you drink out of glass. I carry around glass with me everywhere. And what is this I've got in my glass?
Shungite.
I've got some Shungite that Nora gave me in my glass. But glass is just...
I don't know what Shungite is.
Yeah, glass is just really valuable. Because it's not leaching things. Both aluminum and plastic, there's exceptions on the plastic side, but both of them are leaching things into your water.
If you want it.
Sure.
To inform people.
Yeah, Shungite, why not? If it shows up, it means it's meant to be on this class. Let's see. Shungite is the only known natural material known to contain fullerenes, which are powerful antioxidants. Fullerenes were brought to our attention when research on them gained the scientists a Nobel Prize. This is because the fullerenes in the stone will cleanse water, then infuse it with a potent healing vibration. The energy embodied within this ancient stone is said to absorb and eliminate anything that is a health hazard to human life, and it has an active metaphysical properties with strong healing powers. So, I am going to circle back to talk about beliefs, and this has to do with what we eat, with how we live, with how good we meditate, with how we think we're doing in our spiritual practice. It has less to do with our current health and our current mental health, physical health, whatnot, has less to do with all of those things I mentioned than our beliefs about those things I mentioned. Just believing that we're not on as much of a spiritual path as we should be or could be, now we're shooting on ourselves, that can be negative for your health. It can be negative for your growth because in the now, you're beating yourself up and you're shooting all over yourself. So, same thing with food. When we're eating a piece of chocolate cake and we're thinking the whole time we're eating it, oh my God, I can't believe I'm eating this. This is so horrible for me. I just can't believe I'm doing this. And then after we go, oh God, I can't believe I ate that cake. And then we go tell 5 friends of ours about how awful it is that we ate this cake. And 3 days later, we're still talking about how bad we were Friday night when we ate the cake. The cake's been gone from your body for a long time. and we're still experiencing the negative influences of that cake because of our language and our words, and we're casting negative spells on ourselves. So what I offer is whatever you choose to put in your body, know that it's in your highest good. Whatever spiritual practice you experience or you're doing, and like Pilar just said, everything is a spiritual practice. Know that you're doing it perfect. Step into your own perfection. Know that whatever you're doing is absolutely perfect. The only thing wrong is a belief in wrong, and even that ain't wrong. Um, don't beat yourself up anymore. I do a coaching call with entrepreneurs, and like I coach the entrepreneurs, same thing for anyone that's not an entrepreneur, is it's often valuable to check in. Like, okay, I gave up the corporate world because I didn't want to have a boss and I didn't want to be told what to do. But now that you work for yourself, and everybody works for themselves, everybody is their own boss ultimately, whether you have a job or not, you're still your own boss. What kind of boss are you being to yourself? Like, how are you treating yourself? What kind of a boss are you being when you think you should be doing other things, when you think you should be doing this or you should be doing that, you should be eating this, you should be taking this, you should be meditating better? What kind of a boss are you being to yourself when in reality all you're ever doing is living in the now? Even when you're thinking about the future, you're just spending your now worrying about the future. You're still living in the now. Even when you're having grief over the past or anxiety over the past, you're still living in the now. You're just spending your now precious moments in the past. So if we can stop beating ourselves up, and now I'm going to go to a Houston Vetter quote. Houston Vetter says, if you're going to truly unconditionally love yourself, the most important part is to unconditionally love yourself when you catch yourself conditionally loving yourself. And that's a little bit of a confusing statement, so I'm going to say it again. If you're going to unconditionally love yourself, it's very critical to also unconditionally love yourself when you catch yourself conditionally loving. So when you catch yourself going through those brain patterns of, oh, I should be doing this and I shouldn't be doing that, love yourself then. Don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up. Love yourself through everything, and find your own perfection and step into it. And you're going to find so many things that are going to shift because your brain literally in the now is going to say, oh, wait, I'm perfect? Well, let me get rid of all these health concerns then. Like I didn't even realize I was perfect. Holy cow. Whoof, whoof, whoof. Shake off, shake off, shake off. And you're going to find your health concerns are going to start to drop off, and you're going to feel better and better and better because in the now you were seeing and feeling your own perfection, and so your body's going to create that perfection in you. And it's kind of the same thing with weight, with people that are looking to lose some or looking to release some pounds. When we are resistant to the way we currently look, and when we don't see our perfection in our current look, that's literally holding our fat cells onto us because they're protecting us from the belief that we don't look right or that we're not perfect. So it's like it's one of those weird chicken or the eggs. It's like our own beliefs about us being too heavy or holding our heaviness on us, if that makes sense. Excuse me. Change in direction. Okay, so we're going to start to wrap up now. I know I said that earlier, but there's some things I wanted to make sure we covered. Yeah, if you're skeptical about this stuff, great, awesome. That's certainly not wrong. I was a skeptic. I still am to some degrees about certain things, and all I can tell you is I've proven all of this stuff to myself with my own clients and my own body, or I would not be teaching it. I only offer things to other people that I know to be my truth. But again, I'm not saying that this is your truth, and I'm not asking you to accept it. I'm asking you to actually question everything I say. But if you can leave yourself open to the possibilities of some of these things being true, I think you're going to find that it's amazing. And if you look at Louise Hay's work and her history and how many people she's helped, it's really incredible. And just one quick example. I had a woman that was a little bit skeptical. I was actually doing an analysis I do with people called Essential Oils Intuitive Emotional Healing Analysis. You can find that on my website. You can go to josephzenner.com/EOIEHA. EOIEHA. You can find that. And it's a way of translating the emotional body, physical body, plant world, and essential oils and make it all connect. And doing that analysis really was the science that connected everything for me and let me know for good without turning back that this is real and there are connections there. And so anyway, I was doing this analysis with her, and she loved the analysis by the end of it. And I gave her affirmations for her bad back. See, I say bad back. I gave her affirmations for her back and for her knee, and she couldn't afford the oils at that time. And I said, just try to incorporate those plants into your diet. And I don't think she did, but I got a call in 2 weeks, and she said, I still want to get some oils, but my back and my knee pain are completely gone. And all she had been doing is her affirmations. And so it's just further proof that these affirmations work. And so what I offer to you is, if you're in disbelief and not believing it, that try it. Give it a try, and try it on for size. Do some affirmations. The most powerful affirmation, from what Louise Hay says, and I believe it, is I love and approve of myself. I've seen people have complete and total breakdowns. Just, in my coaching, I have them look in the mirror and say that, and just complete and total breakdowns, because it just wasn't true for them at all. And when you truly feel that I love and approve of myself, it can change everything for you. Just that one affirmation said into the mirror daily can change everything in your life. So unless there's any questions, I'll give you all time to put up any questions while I talk about what's coming up tomorrow night. For most of you on here have already paid for tomorrow night. Nora, do you want to come sit with me for a moment? Sure. I'm going to grab a chair for Nora to come and sit. Yeah. All right, I'll go ahead and move that. So for those that don't know her, this is Nora Dykema, and she is the one that's hosting me in, we're going to sit uncomfortably close here. She is the one that's hosting me in Arkansas, so this is her space. It's called the River Valley Healing Center.
Center for Healing.
The River Valley Center for Healing, sorry.
It's okay.
And so tomorrow night, Nora's going to be taking us through a class. Well, I'll let you tell them. This is Nora, everyone.
Hi, everybody. I am going to be teaching about karmic relationships and divine soulmates and twin flames. And it's really more going to be, the class is going to be more focused on the karmic and the divine soulmates phenomenons and energies and so forth. So I'm just going to speak a few minutes about twin flames, but really just to say that we are definitely in new times and new energies, and that our human experience is changing. And I think that the relationships that are currently available to us are really just beautiful and exciting, but I'm feeling the need to share the shadow sides and the light sides to those. So I will be talking a lot about how to manage them should they show up in your life, and then how to get the best out of the connections should they enter your life. So I hope you join me.
Awesome, thank you. Mm-hmm. And then Friday night, you can join us again here from the center, and I'll be doing a class on 10-second ceremonies, the secret to forgiveness and inner peace. And this is going to go also into some shadow work and into some very quick, fast, simple techniques that are able to transform things very quickly and have you be able to look at situations in your life from a completely different perspective, and really a wild shift in perception and in joy when you can get these techniques down. And these are things that I've utilized in my own practice. I've put together a hodgepodge of life hacks from lots of different people I've met, and I'm putting it all together for you in one beautiful little experience on Friday night. So I hope you can join us for that. And Pilar's saying you have nice energy field. So what color is it, Pilar? What color is the energy field? What color is each of our energy fields? Pilar,
I bet his is yellow.
Sees weird energy fields.
Yeah.
Weird being a good word, of course. So that's about it. So yeah, tell your friends about us. We're going to offer this class as a recording. We're going to offer all 3 classes for $19. That'll be offered even after we're finished Friday nights. But if you have friends that might have interest, certainly have them join us tomorrow night and Friday night, because they can do live chat. I'll be monitoring the live chat tomorrow night for Nora. So if y'all have questions for her, you'll be able to ask them live. So that'll be really exciting. And for those that are joining us on recordings now, you can still spread this to your friends. $19 for all 3 courses. Plus, when you get the email, I sent tons and tons of bonuses. For those that got the emails, you got lots and lots of bonuses that I'm hoping you'll dig and be excited about. Zenner is very lemon and glowing, and yours is half yellow. And, oh, it disappeared again. Half yellow and half purple.
Oh, interesting.
Awesome. And thank you everyone,
Pilar,
for joining us.
Doll Genius. Did you get my nickname for Pilar?
Doll Genius?
Doll
I like that. I like that.
And it fits her, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again, and namaste, y'all. Much peace.